I actually grew up in poverty. That was a harrowing experience for me. I found solitude, safety in nature. And when I found out at the age of 16 that nature wasn't quite safe and there was something called the climate crisis that was looming over us, it just made me feel like for that friend that was there when I really needed her, I need to be there too.
I'm Daze Aghaji, and I'm a climate justice activist.
Some days I'm working on graphic design, some days I'm working on content creation, some days I'm suing my government. I remember my first, most vivid memory was when I stopped my mum from cutting down a tree that was outside of our house. And that was the first moment that I realized that there is this connection between me and nature. Nature isn't just something that lives on its own. Nature is a part of our human experience, but most of all, we are a part of nature, and we have to see ourselves as this larger ecosystem. We just have to tap into it, and when we do, there is nothing that can happen to nature that doesn't make us feel like we have to fight for her. I'm 23, and I've never lived in a stable climate.
The climate is warming. It's indisputable. We have already seen 1 degree of warming on a global average. The more you warm the globe, that will have commensurately much larger impacts in changes in the things that actually impact us. Say, droughts, floods, heat waves. There is definitely a need to adapt to that changed climate. And the more the climate changes, the harder that adaptation becomes.
So activism, it just basically means being an active citizen. It means waking up every day and deciding who am I going to be in service to and what can I do to kind of help the world be a better place. My work is very different on a daily basis. Some days it's working on policy around different green areas in urban spaces, but it also can come into form of taking people into London and foraging and letting them build their own interest in the natural world as well. There is something really beautiful about knowing nature, and that's the first way that we can build a relationship with her, is by truly knowing her. But then there's also the systemic things too. How do we get policy that includes people and nature? When I saw that we had yet again not met our 3rd carbon budget, that's when I said enough's enough. And that's when I took the government to court. When all life on Earth depends on us doing the right thing at the right speed at the right time, it just made sense. I didn't just start suing governments or think I was particularly special. I just started practicing that agency muscle and finding myself where I am. And I think everyone can do it. I don't think Greta is particularly special. I think everyone could be Greta if they really wanted to. For a lot of young people, it's really difficult because our whole lives have been in the not normal phase. It's basically worst case scenario, right? To find yourself in a planet that no longer sustains life. A big recognition of climate anxiety is to know that you're not alone. The collective power is the most important.
A key thing in adaptation is climate resilience. But an important part of resilience is about, as a community, being able to come together and act as a community to support each other. If it wasn't for younger generation being vocal in their criticism of politicians, then we wouldn't have made the progress that we already have.
My core message is to carry love, duty, and care with everything you do, every action you take, and every word you speak. And if we did that, we would live in a very radically different world. I've always said, for the people who don't know enough about the climate crisis, you don't really need to know that much. You need to know someone is hurting, something is hurting, and that's enough for us to step into action. Hope has to be active, and that's really important to me. And that's the way I've lived my life.